Sikhulekile ekhaya sanibonani. I wish to greet each and every one of you. I honor the spirit inside each and every one of you. We say dumelang, thobelang ma-Afrika. Molweni ndiyabhotisa ma-Afrika mahle. Goeiedag almal. Siyathokoza kumnandi kubalana namhlanje. Mina ngingunokugcina okamhlophe kazindela kankomonhle othumbeza ophuthaza abaphuthaza izulu abanye belesaba ontombezela ngonyezi ezabafokazana zenda ngomnyama. I am so proud to be inviting each and every one of you to come with me on a journey as we celebrate our Heritage Day. We are doing this in style through the oral tradition, through our stories, through saying we honor this thing called intangible heritage. It is ours. And as I take you on a journey, I'm talking about Intaba Zokhahlamba, the Drakensberg Mountains, the valleys deep that celebrate Namakwaland. We are Africa Labo. We're talking about Umfula Igili. We are talking about Limpopo. We are Sishona Pantu Tugela. Yiti Labo Africa Mahle. Sigalela Nkosi enkulu, sigalela themba lethu, sigalela iAfrika yethu, sigalela iAfrika. Hayi bazukulu bagogo senifikile. Hawu kade nginikhumbule ngiyabonga ukuthi senifikile. Uyaphila? Ah, wena right? Yebo okay. Uteng Gitabile. You look like you got full of your eyes are full of questions.
Do you have a story for us?
Of course I've got a story for you. Hawu ngihlala ngiphethe umgodla ogcwele izindaba mina. Uyazi ngalesikhathi ngiyingane encane ngilingana nani nje. I was a young girl and I grew up. Our grandparents would tell us stories. Basixoxela izinganekwane, sijabule sihlale phansi. Babeqala ngokuthi kwesukela. Yebo babesho kanjalo. Thina masithi kwesukela nithi nina? Yebo babesho kanjalo. Manje baxoxa ngezikhathi zakudala lapho babelima emasimini, betshala ummbila, betshala amabele, ubhatata, amathanga. Hayibo ukudla kumnandi mase kuphekiwe lapho. Shaya izimnandi, abantwana bayathokoza, abantu abadala bayaphaka, ingane ziyadla. So we would eat and have a good time, and when we've done that they would be singing, they would be dancing, there'd be storytelling. Kaya mabele kazulu, kaya mabele kazulu, izwe lakithi kazulu, izwe lakithi we kube mnandi. Uyazi ngikhumbula ngiyingane encane nami. Manje masikhumbula kulonyaka uSeptember. What month is September? What is important? Heritage Month, you got it. 2021 Heritage Month. We are celebrating it in a special way. What better way to honor our preamble by using these things, honoring languages, storytelling, and poetry. Hey, see for yourselves what I'm talking about.
Ons, mense van Suid-Afrika, erken die ongeregtighede van ons verlede. Huldig diegene wat vir geregtigheid en vryheid in ons land gelei het.
Lay the foundations of a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law.
Zwenezwo nga kha vhaimeleli vho khethiwaho zwavhuḓi ri khou ṱanganedza ino ndayotewa sa wone mulayo muhulusa kha wa Republic.
Re alafe dikgogakgogano tse di fetileng mme re age setšhaba se theilweng ka meetlo ya demokrasi, bosiamiso ja batho le ditshwanelo tse di botlhokwa tsa botho.
Lay the foundations of a democratic and open society in which government is based on the will of the people and every citizen is equally protected by law.
Yakunqonota lizinga lempilo lato tonke takhamuti futhi kukhululwe emakhono emuntu ngamunye kanye neyokwakha iNingizimu Afrika lebumbene neyentsandvo yelinyenti futhi lekwati kuthatha indzawo yayo lefanekelekile njengelive lelitibusako emndenini yemave latibusako.
Zano mnyamazana ubuhle bamfuxa akatshwe ngumbale ndikuwo mna unwele lwam sisithabe esihlume engqondweni echubekileyo lo mnyamazana yimbase ndayithwaliswa zizinyanya zam uncuthu lwentetho yam nokwincasa yolwimi lwam ungani namhlanje ndateketha ndedanga ndile ngqamu ungani namhlanje sishancela amasiko nezithethe zethu ungani namhlanje sishancele nditsho nenkcubeko yethu hlanganani zinkokheli zikholisa okhokho bethu hlanganani zintlanga ngeentlanga zabantsundu silungiseni ilizwe lethu kungako ke ndibiza wena nkokheli enkulu kayise nkosi yonoqhakanqa.
Kindness.
Hayi,
Ada gorere. Kankwas. Kaisikure. Ganganzi. Abotse. Ne. Chuhu. Azgo. Kuida. Kais. Karoma. Itohoba. Netses. Onga. Saudare.
kaloku inkcubeko yethu ifana nqwane lifelifukamileyo ze liphala zimvula mhla ngemvalela. Kaloku inkcubeko yethu lukhwezi kwisithokothoko sobumnyama. Inkcubeko yethu sisangxe simpiko zokuthwala ulutsha. Inkcubeko yethu lukhozo oluntinga ngaphandle kwempiko. Kayise kumkani wonoqhakanqa.
Einzig, Kaisigure, Ganganzi, Abotse, Ne, Tsuchu, Katzgo, Kuida, Kai, Aroma, Itohoba, Netzes, Hai.
Amaku!
And Ukhandet, this year's celebration of our Heritage Month is hosted by none other than the province of the Western Cape. What better way than to have messages of support from the Premier of the Western Cape Province as well as the acting chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan Leaders. Bagwetu, again lalele, listen to their messages.
Here in South Africa this month we are really celebrating Charlotte Mqeke, a lady of tremendous courage, a lady who led from the front and nearly 120 years ago became the first black woman from South Africa to get a degree. It's about experiences, it's about tastes, flavors, it's about languages, it's about our history. And we need to celebrate that. We celebrate who we are in our absolute diversity. We think about the modern roots that we are busy developing around the history of Mandela, Madiba, the father of our nation. And we think about the work that's being done at the moment through his life journey and those specific spaces here. We think about all that encompasses our culture, our heritage, us, who we are as South Africans, who we are as people from the Western Cape, the southern tip of Africa. This is where man modernized. And that's the work that's going on in the caves of the Southern Cape and the work that was happening there that shows this is where man modernized and the influence that we had in those human development stages of the world and the role that we play. And of course, that's so great to be able to say to tourists who come here from around the world, welcome home, because this is where it all began. I've just had the privilege of being part of the recognition of rooibos tea, our own very tea that grows in this region, a geographical indicator now that sits at the table with champagne, recognized by the world. Please make sure you go and learn something new about our history. Let's all stand together and celebrate our culture. Thank you.
Imini enhle yokuvuselela amagugu namasiko kuni Mzantsi Afrika. Indlu yenkosi zemveli kuzwelonke ibhiyozela lemini ngokuxhasa urhulumente xa ebhiyozela amagugu olwazi nentlalo yethu. This year we celebrate our heritage under the theme, the Year of Charlotte Manyamaqeke, celebrating South Africa's intangible heritage. Mama Maxeke is one of our own legends who lived her life selflessly for the development and upliftment of other women and the people of our nation during the colonial era. In her teachings, she said, I quote, "This work is not for yourselves. Kill that spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. And if you can rise, bring someone with you." End quote. Today we all need to check if we are living up to that standard. This is the month of which our nation celebrates the core values of our society, which serve as a moral compass for culture, tradition, and heritage. Ubukhosi, as custodians of culture, tradition, and heritage, recognizes the contribution made by our legions, especially women, as primary drivers in the preservation, protection, and promotion of our culture, tradition, and heritage. They take intangible indigenous knowledge systems and turn them into business, which lead to socio-economic development in communities. As South Africans, we must also endeavor to protect and preserve our intangible cultural heritage while ensuring this is passed down to our next generations. Lest we risk losing our heritage, we have a duty to teach our youth and other nationalities our unique way of passing information from generation to generation through storytelling, through song and dance, and through our customary initiation practices and other rituals, to mention a few. We must teach our youth the value of respect in things we take for granted every day, such as how to greet, especially between youth and elders, how to respond to elders when they call or summon the young. As the National House of Traditional and Quiescent Leaders and the institution, we want our rich intangible heritage to be witnessed as a lifestyle on a daily basis, and we encourage all South Africans to embrace their intangible heritage. It is part of who we are. If we don't, we become a lost generation. Nibe nemini enhle yamagugu namasiko, my tradition, my culture, my heritage.
I love storytelling, but also I love history. And it's so wonderful for me to hear how we honor our own heritage through the people that we celebrate, our human treasures. Did you know these names? Umamu Beauty Ngongo, Ubaba Enoch Mabigo, Dr. Peter Makubane. Nizobazi namhlanje, because they are celebrated through poetry and storytelling and dance. What better way than us introducing uNgqongqoshe, our Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture? This is the way we do it. Mamukeleni bakwethu ubaba uNathi Mthethwa.
I've come to take you home.
Sindiwe Magona,
James Matthews,
Beauty Ngongo,
Peter Magubane,
Zubaida Zafar,
Don Matera,
Mali Leroux,
Alan Bussa.
Ainkie Krog.
Ek is hier om jou huis toe te neem, waar ek vir jou sal sing. Want jy het ook vrede vir my gebring.
Este Mahlangu,
Mervyn Africa,
Madosini Mpahleni,
Abdullah Ibrahim,
Sophie Williams de Bruin,
Peter Jones. I've come to take you home.
Program Director, His Excellency the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, Ministers and Deputy Ministers here present, Premier of Western Cape Province, the host province, Mr. Alan Wind, MECs and members of the Provincial Legislature, members of the media, South Africa at large. It is with a great feeling of joy and duty that I briefly share with you my thoughts about the National Heritage Day, which we are celebrating today as one nation, united in our diversity. I'm also equally delighted that momentarily I shall have the honor to invite the President of the Republic, His Excellency, Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, to address us on this special occasion. Before his address, however, I thought it would be necessary that I remind all of us about what this very special occasion is about and why we ought to celebrate our national heritage as diverse people of this country. We celebrate National Heritage Day, as is the case with the rest of our national days, because we look to them as platforms that could bridge existing socio-historical divisions created by many centuries of colonial rule and apartheid. Whilst colonialism and apartheid use heritage as a means to divide our people, our approach in this new dispensation is to use national days such as Heritage Day as platforms of expression in which our diversity will be celebrated instead of being denigrated, as was the case during colonialism and apartheid. In other words, we do say without any fear of contradiction that it is in our diversity that we find strength. In so doing, we are responding in the affirmative to the motto of our coat of arms, which is written in Khoisan San language of the Kham people, literally means diverse people unite. It addresses each individual effort to harness the unity between thought and action. We are therefore implored to unite irrespective of race, ethnicity, language, and culture in a bid to build a future South African society that is socially integrated and inclusive. As we celebrate National Heritage Day today, we are gathered as diverse people under the theme, the Year of Charlotte Maxeke, celebrating our intangible cultural heritage. We have sought to further delineate this theme by focusing the nation's attention on, firstly, to elevate the status and promote the use of our indigenous languages. Secondly, we have also expounded on this theme by giving a platform to our living human treasures. This year in particular, we showcase the most industrious and celebrated pair in Umama Beauty Ngongo, Ubaba Peter Makubane, world-class photographer who's known, need no introduction, Nobaba Umkwako Enoch Mabiga, sculptor extraordinaire, whose works have captivated not only national attention, but the world over. We're grateful for these icons, for putting our beautiful country on the map. Thus, we call upon all communities to also identify their own living human treasures and honor them in life. This will happen from one village, one township, and any other area where people are. You know your human treasures. It's the task of all of us to ensure that we raise their name very high. At the very outset, our marching orders are obtained in Section 1 of the Constitution of the Republic, which enjoins us to such fundamental values as human dignity, achievement of equality, and advancement of fundamental rights and freedoms. Section 1B of the Constitution is even more instructive. It commits us all to the values of non-racialism and non-sexism. I cite these particular parts of the Constitution advisedly, as it should be apparent to most that the freedom to practice one's culture and speak one's language affirms one's sense of self. Quite pointedly, it affirms one's right to human dignity. The Constitution went further, ensuring that there are practical safeguards in ensuring that these values are upheld. Section 30 of the Constitution, for example, guarantees us the right to use the language and participate in cultural life of our choice, close quote. In ensuring that fundamental values such as human dignity, non-racialism, and non-sexism are strictly upheld, the Constitution, quite right, imposes a limitation on the exercises of cultural rights insofar as asserting these rights may cause direct harm to others. The constitutional injunction in Section 31 is most important that we remind ourselves about, especially in the context of the rampant gender-based violence and femicide. Quite rightly, the Constitution imposes an important limitation in this regard. Under Section 31, in saying, and I quote, "No one in exercising these rights may do so in a manner inconsistent with any provision of the Bill of Rights," close quote. I cite Section 31 of the Constitution to make the point that in exercising our cultural practices and traditions, we ought to do it in a manner that is intended to build unity, cohesion, and solidarity amongst us as diverse people of this country. On this day, let's desist from harmful practices under the guise of practicing our culture. There is nothing in our culture that supports subjugation and abuse of women and girls. As we celebrate National Heritage Day today, let's pause and remember victims of GBVF and call out all acts of abuse as and when they become apparent. I wish to restate the earlier point I've made that there can be nothing in our heritage or cultural practice that condones abuse of women and children, let alone any kind of abuse or indignity inflicted by one human being on another fellow human being. Now, it is my absolute pleasure and delight to introduce His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Mr. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, to address us. Mr. President.
Fellow South Africans, dumelang, molweni, sanbonani, goeiedag, thobela, lotshani, limasiari, inhlekani. Today is our Heritage Day. It is the day on which we celebrate who we are as South Africans and what makes us what we are. This year, as we have done in previous years, we pay tribute to all those who are working to keep the rich heritage of our people alive. We acknowledge two living legends, Umama Beauty Ngongo and renowned expert on Zulu bacchestry, and Ubaba Mgwayo Enoch Mabiko, a celebrated craftsman. This Heritage Day, we also celebrate Ubaba Dr. Peter Magubane, whose pioneering photography has told the history not only of apartheid, but of our many indigenous cultures. During Heritage Month, we also promote the elevation of indigenous languages. I want to thank all who are part of this effort, including the publishing industry, which is making more writing available in indigenous languages. I also want to thank the private sector for supporting prizes for indigenous content publishing, such as the Pendoring Awards. This year, we also celebrate a major milestone with the publication of the first dictionary of Afrikaans. This is a language synonymous with the Cape, particularly Cape Town, and draws on the languages of the Khoi and San, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the English, Arabic, and Southeast Asian languages. We congratulate the team who were involved in this project. This important resource will not only contribute to our heritage and to the historic record, it is also a beacon of pride for the many residents of Cape Town who speak Afrikaans. We're also proud of the Puku Children's Literature Foundation in Gauteng, which recently won a prestigious award from the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, for using digital technologies to promote indigenous language literature for children. This is a difficult time for workers in the arts, culture and heritage space. The restrictions that we have introduced to contain the spread of the coronavirus have severely damaged this sector. Although the adjusted regulations have enabled businesses in the heritage sector to reopen under certain conditions, it has been a struggle for many to keep their doors open, to recoup the losses they have incurred, and to reach audiences again. As government, we've been doing what we can within our means to help cushion the blow. Last year, we were able to support more than 34,000 practitioners in the arts, culture and heritage space through the COVID Relief Fund. This fund formed part of the Presidential Employment Stimulus, which this month entered its second phase. South Africa's natural resources are also an integral part of our heritage, and here too the stimulus has played an important role. We have supported the employment of young South Africans in biodiversity conservation, ecosystems restoration, and land use management. These are just some of the measures that we have taken and will continue to take to ensure that our country's heritage is preserved for generations to come. This is a task that does not fall on government shoulders alone, but on all our shoulders. We must become our own historians. Our elders and our cultural practitioners are like libraries, valuable libraries of our past. They have a wealth of information, and we must tell their stories. As families, let us encourage our children to spend more time with their grandparents and great-grandparents, to listen to them, and where possible, to record the histories of our people. Someday, our children will pass this on to their own children, who may themselves become cultural practitioners, authors, filmmakers, museum curators, and tour guides. Heritage is as much about the present as it is about the past. By transmitting it from one generation to another, we keep it alive. Fellow South Africans, it has been a challenging year, and we have had much to contend with. We have been trying to get on with our lives in the midst of a deadly pandemic. We have been slowly rebuilding our economy and have seen the promising green shoots of recovery. Just as we were doing so, we were confronted with the outbreak of terrible violence in some parts of our country. Property, infrastructure, and businesses were destroyed. Jobs were lost, and many people were injured, and a number of them died. Our belief in ourselves as a united nation was shaken. We saw people destroying the very country we are trying to build. In the aftermath of the violence, we have had to ask ourselves, who are we as a people? What is it that defines our national character? What is it that defines our identity? What do we stand for? This Heritage Day, I would like us to reflect on these very important questions, because the values we live by and the principles we stand for define us as much as what we wear, the food we eat, the languages we speak, the music we listen to, and they also make up our way of life. I speak here of heritage that we cannot see or hold, but which we carry deep in our hearts and minds. As South Africans, we are an honorable people. As South Africans, we respect others and their rights, and we believe in the Constitution as the supreme law of the land. As South Africans, we are proud of our country and our achievements as a young nation that is barely 3 decades old. We reject dishonorable conduct as South Africans. We are not involved in crime, and we report those who are involved in crime. We do not engage in acts of corruption, especially as public servants or public representatives who have been entrusted with the welfare of our beloved country's citizens. As South Africans, we share a common cultural value of respect for others, for the elderly, for for women, for children, for people's property and belongings. But we also have a deep respect for ourselves, individually as South Africans. We never use culture or tradition as a tool to oppress, to discriminate, or to victimize others on any other basis, including their gender, their religion, their sexuality, or their sexual orientation. As South African men, we accord women and girls the highest form of respect, knowing that there is never, ever any justification to abuse, hit or rape, or even kill a woman. We are a compassionate people, we South Africans. We help others whenever we can, especially those less fortunate than ourselves. We offer sympathy and support to the many families who have lost their loved ones and who still suffer during this pandemic. The South Africans that we are makes us care for the welfare of others, be they our neighbors' children, or strangers. We South Africans are a responsible people. We abide by the regulations that are in place to help contain the spread of COVID-19, which are there for our own safety and welfare. We wear our masks in public at all times. We observe social distancing, and we regularly wash our hands and sanitize them. We get vaccinated against COVID-19 and encourage others to do so as well. We are a hard-working people, we South Africans. Despite the many challenges our economy is facing, we keep trying to do what we can to make a better life for ourselves and others. We keep our country running every day in our hospitals, caring for the sick, teaching our children, providing basic services to communities, keeping communities safe, and running small businesses that serve our people. Because we want for others what we want for ourselves, we do not vandalize or destroy property meant for the benefit of all of us. Property such as schools, libraries, roads, clinics, or infrastructure facilities such as electricity or water or our roads. We are a peace-loving people. Our democracy was won because the dream of a new country was stronger than the urge for retribution. As South Africans, we want to live in harmony with others. We are part of efforts to keep our communities safe and free from crime. We are a united people. We are intolerant of any forms of racism, sexism, tribalism, or xenophobia. We embrace non-racialism as our everyday ethos. We embrace this in our communities, in our workplaces, and our places of worship. We reject racists and check our own prejudices, whether we are black or white. All this is what should define our character as proud South Africans. Fellow South Africans, one of our greatest tasks as a nation is to heal the divisions of the past. We will never be a truly united nation until we overcome the poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment and unemployment that is still so prevalent in our communities. We can only do so if we work together. This Heritage Day, I call on each and every one of us to express our pride in our Constitution. It has given rights to all of us that were once denied. It has given us opportunity where there once was none. It has given all of us freedom. Thanks to our freedom, we are able to see each other, not as black or white, not as man or woman, not as city dweller or rural dweller, but just simply as South Africans. As South Africans, let us unite to rebuild this, our beautiful country. Let us get on with the task of recovery from this pandemic. To do so, let us find one another again and unite as we have done so many times in the past. Our unity in our diversity is the most valuable feature of our common heritage. Wherever you may be today, I wish you a pleasant and happy Heritage Day. I thank you.